I work with mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, designers, but the advent of CAD has allowed engineers to do a lot more with less. The companies can do a lot more with less resources.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Being an Engineer podcast. Today, our guest is Larry Caponi, who has spent more than 4 decades helping engineering organizations find the right people to build great products. As VP of Staffing Solutions at Spanner Product Development, Larry works with companies across consumer electronics, robotics, renewable energy, and medical technology to place highly specialized engineering talent from mechanical and electrical engineers to product designers and quality experts. With a career that includes leadership roles at ProSource Inc. and Trimex Solutions, Larry has developed a unique perspective on how great teams are built and what it takes to move products from concept to market successfully. Larry, thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome, Aaron. It's nice to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your role right now, Larry, and how you got into this role.
Yeah, so that's a good question. It's a little confusing actually, because when people see that I'm the VP of staffing for Spanner, Spanner's a product development company. So most people think I'm recruiting directly for Spanner, and that's really not what I'm doing. On my job, so it started I worked for a company called ProSource for 30 years, and the company shut down. The owner wanted to retire and just didn't want to go on anymore. So I found myself about November of 2023, I found myself out looking for a new role, put something on LinkedIn, and the executive team at Spanner contacted me and said they'd been thinking about doing a recruiting model around their business. So one thing led to another. We did some calls and we put a deal together. So my job is to go out and I'm creating a separate revenue stream for Spanner under the Spanner umbrella. My job is to go out and find companies that are looking to hire resources. And then also I go out and find candidates and then put the two together. So my job is to go outside of the Spanner ecosystem and generate a revenue stream for Spanner.
Okay, so for example, if my company Pipeline needed to hire an engineer, I could approach you, Larry, and say, hey, I need an automation engineer. And you'd be able to go out and find that engineer, help me establish interviews and go through that process and ultimately hire it. And then there's, some transaction. Pipeline pays Spanner for that service, and that's how you generate revenue.
Correct. It's either so I have contractors as well as full-time employees. So if it was a full-time employee, we would charge a percentage of the first year's salary. If it was a contractor, we would charge you an hourly bill rate.
Got it. Okay. All right. And you've been doing basically this same thing in some form or another for 4 decades now?
Well, I used to be a little proud of that, how long I was doing it for. But yeah, I started my career in recruiting in 1984. So
wow.
Yeah, and I love what I do. I'm just going to keep on doing it because it's to me, it's a passion for me, and as well as a living. But it's become I've made a lot of nice friends over the years. It's amazing the amount of contacts I've made over. This is my 42nd year doing this, coming up on my 42nd year. So it's pretty incredible where I started and where I am now, and the folks I've met along the way, and companies I've worked with. It's been amazing between startups and well-established companies. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I'm a pretty lucky guy, actually. Yeah.
And how long has your recruiting been focused on engineers?
From the beginning. That's really all it. So it's hardcore. It's mechanical engineers, electrical, embedded software engineers. Not so much with IT, but most of my clients are building a product. So it's a physical product, hardware, and that's kind of how I ended up with Spanner at the end here. So yeah.
You're in a unique position to analyze trends and kind of see holistically in the industry, different patterns and things that are happening. How has hiring changed? How have engineering companies changed the structure of how they hire engineers over the years, if at all? Maybe it's the same as it was 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, Yeah, so companies still call me. In the beginning, there was no, it used to be, I used to physically deliver resumes, believe it or not. I'd have a resume in my office, and if a client needed somebody, I'd actually hand deliver the resume. That's how antiquated it was back then, but it worked. And actually, in some ways, it was a little bit more effective because they were forced to meet with me. So they were forced to actually accept a meeting from me and me go out. Now with email and everything, a lot of managers just want me to email a resume. And I prefer, well, when I was in the Bay Area, working in the Bay Area, I would prefer to go out and meet with the clients. And now it's physically not possible. But yeah, we had physically delivering resumes at the beginning. And then we had this thing called fax machines. So we used to fax resumes through these machines, and the paper would get curled up. And then we went to email, and now we're at a point where we're using LinkedIn and other avenues of sending resumes. So it has evolved over the years, and in some ways, it's made our jobs a lot easier. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How about the types of engineers? Has that changed much over the years? I mean, you mentioned what your focus is these days. Are you seeing like more nuance at all, or more general engineering hiring being made? How has that changed?
Yeah, again, going back years ago, companies used to use drafters, designers. I mean, basically on drafting boards, that's how it started out. So you'd have drafters, designers, and then you'd have over the wall, you'd have checkers. So you'd have people redlining up drawings. And so I think what's happened with the advent of CAD, it's allowed companies to be more efficient. So they don't have to hire 15 or 20 people in the department. They can use 3 or 4 people to do the work of what they used to have 15 or 20 people doing it. So I would say, I work with mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, designers, but the advent of CAD has allowed engineers to do a lot more with less. The companies can do a lot more with less resources.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that trend continues even further with AI coming into the picture. I know there's some companies out there right now, for example, creating applications that will do checks on your drawings, right? AI drawing reviews, which
Yeah,
would be not just drawing reviews. I guess creating the drawings really is what the
yeah.
focus is, which would be amazing.
I think it's going to allow people without degrees to do what people with degrees can do now.
Mhm.
I see that trend a little bit now. We're still in the early stages. We're still in the first inning of AI. We don't know where it's going to end up,
Yeah.
but it has changed. It's even with my job, I can rewrite job descriptions. I can um, put it into a Gemini or a ChatGPT or Claude, and I can compose a nice letter using AI. And I think engineers are going to find effective ways. You're still going to have to navigate through the engineering problems, but I think AI is going to allow everyone to be more effective. Now, is that going to eliminate some jobs? Like I know when script writers in Hollywood, I mean that those jobs are going to be really at the front end of jobs that may not need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of change is coming, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Um, I think that this episode is going to be really interesting for engineers who are now or in the future going to be looking for a job, because we're definitely going to talk about what you've learned and how engineers can be most effective finding a job, or maybe improving their employment. And then
Mhm.
from the hiring side, for the you hiring managers out there, I think that we'll have some great insights from Larry on how to be most effective finding and hiring engineers. So let's maybe start there from the hiring side. What are some things that companies who seem to attract consistently great engineering talent, what are they doing versus companies that maybe they're struggling a little bit to find great engineers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Uh, well, I think it starts with the management of the company and the philosophy and what they can offer to their employees. It's like building. I always relate because I was a baseball player in college. I always related to putting a team together in sports. I happen to be from Boston, and putting like the Patriots always for 20 years. They had a coach, a Bill Belichick, who had a great plan and a great philosophy and how to put a team together. Same goes with great organizations in business. I think it starts from the top. So a good management style, and creating a culture where people can learn. You mentioned you don't micromanage people when we started this, so less micromanagement, and then having a great product helps. You have to have a product that people need and want. So I think it all starts from the management team can create a good culture. Yeah.
That's an interesting point about the product itself. I hadn't even thought about that really, but
hmm
have you seen that either the product or the culture are bigger drivers than the other, or are they kind of equal? Like if I have, not maybe not the most interesting product in the world, maybe I'm manufacturing staples, I don't know, something like that, but we just have an amazing culture and everyone recognizes that it's truly a stellar place to work, versus if you're developing the next surgical robot, but it's kind of widely known that, hey, this is not a great place to work. It's kind of a toxic culture. Which one wins?
Well, yeah, that's a great question too. I think you have to have a good product, because if you have a great culture and you don't have a great product that people aren't going to buy, then culture is only going to take the company so far.
Mm.
Of course, having a great culture and a great product, or a great culture or a mediocre culture and a great product where people are excited about what they're doing, they're challenged. Um, I think a great product is probably more essential than a great culture. But
Or
we,
attracting engineers?
yes, yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I would have guessed the opposite. That's really interesting to hear from the front line what's actually
hmm
happening. How about mistakes that companies make when they're trying to hire engineers? What are like the top two or three mistakes that you can help hiring managers avoid?
Yeah, yeah. Well, hiring too quickly, companies that just, and that's not happening right now. Companies are actually, because I'm actually coaching companies. I said, hey, take your time. Don't feel like you have to hire the first person I send them. So I usually present three. I go through a whole line of questioning. So I qualify the manager, and I feel like I'm educating them sometimes. I said, why are you looking for somebody? Do you really need somebody on this role? What's the process of bringing somebody on? What's the ramp up time? So I have a whole questionnaire that I ask the managers, because sometimes managers don't really know why they're hiring somebody. They think they need to hire somebody because somebody left the company. So I go through and make sure that I have a buy-in from them, because I don't want to spend 3 months looking for somebody if they don't really know the reason they want to bring somebody on. So
That's great.
yeah,
So
I make them convince me why they need somebody. Yeah. Which,
I mean, right there, you're going from a vendor to a partner, right?
yes.
You're
Yeah.
helping them identify what's the commercial reason that you actually need someone.
And I'm trying to build trust. I feel like I'm more of an advisor at times to them.
Yeah,
And sometimes they'll come back and say, you know what, you're right. Maybe we don't need to hire somebody for this particular role. Let's wait till next time. But it also builds trust from my end to them, with me.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, you're not out just to make a buck. You're trying to help them, and that comes through loud and clear.
yes, yeah,
Okay, so let's look at it from the engineers side now. Engineers who maybe they're already gainfully employed, but they're keeping their options open, right? Looking for something better, or maybe they are actively looking for a new job right now. I've heard from many engineers who are out of work, right? They're looking for something right now, that they're just sending resumes and resumes out
yeah,
there and like nothing, right? They don't get any response. They don't really understand what the process is. Like, is it just some AI agent that's going through these and I'm not putting the right keywords in there? What
yeah.
help us understand the process right now that engineers go through, like behind the scenes, what's really happening?
Yeah, and it is a challenging time right now. I think there's more people than ever looking for jobs, and a lot more people looking for the same jobs. So, and I would contend, you mentioned they're sending resumes out. I'm counseling people now and coaching people and coaching the candidates I'm working with, that I contend that LinkedIn is a lot more important than a resume these days, because recruiters are using LinkedIn more than ever. And I even say that at some point, resumes will become obsolete. There'll be a different form of presenting your credentials to a company. So I always tell them to build a good, robust LinkedIn profile with a nice summary on top, and then a list of your different jobs chronologically in order. But yeah, it is very challenging. AI is becoming more essential in the job search, where clients are using AI to block out certain people that don't have the right keywords in there. So yeah, it's a challenging time.
How do you learn which keywords are the right ones to put in a resume? Is it very, very job specific?
Yeah, and I've when I work with folks, I always tell them, make sure you write your resume, as long as they're not fabricating things. Write your resume according to the job, and that helps. And then I always ask them to put a summary of their skill sets together for me in a separate document. So tell a story about yourself besides the resume. Send the resume, but also send me a summary. And that's worked fantastic over the years. So I asked them for a separate summary so I can send the resume along with that summary of their skill sets and what they're really good at. And I asked them to do it in their own words. I can't write their story for them.
Yeah. Uh,
Not, yeah.
I like that you mentioned LinkedIn. I've been going through the hiring process right now, actually. This morning I spoke with a candidate. This is a marketing position that I'm hiring for right
Mhm.
now. But I put a job post out there and a few, Indeed and ZipRecruiter and a couple of those resume hiring websites. And we probably got, I don't know, 30 resumes, 30 applicants within 4 or 5 days, something like that. I refused to look at any of the resumes, especially since this was a marketing position. I was like, I'm just going to see who actually reaches out to me. Show me your marketing skills.
Yes.
And so
Very
I
good.
didn't look at anyone. And there was this one gal who reached out to me, and she was sharp and clearly had researched my company. And it was on LinkedIn that she reached out to me. And I spoke with her this morning. And I mean, I haven't pulled the trigger quite yet, but she seems great. And LinkedIn
That is
was
such a
the
great story, Aaron. That is such, and one of the things I also tell when a candidate interviews with a company, they think it went well. At the end of the interview, ask for the job. Most
mm,
people don't ask for the job. It's like, I think I can do this work. If offered the job, I really want it and I'll accept it.
I
So,
love
and
that. I
it's
love
another
that.
example of what the example that you just used is somebody reached out to. If they're a marketing person, they should be reaching out. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I've hired, a lot of people over the years, and I kind of want to feel courted. Like I want to feel like you, the candidate, really want this job, and not like
Mhm.
I'm just one in, 50 companies that you're just throwing stuff spaghetti on the wall, see if something sticks. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that. That's a great pro tip. Ask for the job if you feel like the interview went well at the end.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Is there anything that you can advise, especially younger engineers, to do early on in their careers to like set them up for success as far as getting hired?
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of that right now because a lot of my clients at my age, a lot of my clients have kids that are graduating from college, and I get it almost 3 or 4 times a week. How can you, in this time of year, we're coming to graduation time where people are getting out and they've gone through 4 years of school. I mean, I went through 4 years of school, and when I got out, I didn't know what to do. Where do you look? Um, Obviously we go back to LinkedIn. Make sure you put a good LinkedIn profile together, even if it's about projects you did at school, internships, um, those kinds of things, the kind of classes you took. I mean, obviously, a person coming out of school doesn't have a lot of job history that they can put on a resume or
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Um, the other thing they can do is network with their parents' friends, because a lot of the kids' parents are in business, and you can just put the word out that way. Um, reach out, reach out to people that their parents. In general networking, I mean, there's a whole, you go to meetups. There's meetups you can go to. Um, Make sure, and if you see a company that's advertising, send an email to the owner or the CEO of that company. Don't be afraid to go up the ladder rather than deal with the managers. You'll be surprised how little CEOs and senior level people get contacted. So I do it myself. I contact leadership people, and you know, they like. I think they like you just said, somebody contacted you directly.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, it shows initiative, and the fact that like this person really truly is interested. They're not just throwing resumes at the wall and seeing what sticks. I love your comment about like get to know people, right? Get out there and network, meet people.
yeah,
Everything we do happens with and through people. So engineers who are just sending resumes out into a black hole probably have a much lower chance of getting an interview than an engineer who's going to go out and find the right person at that company and try to establish some sort of relationship with him or her.
and it shows how resourceful someone can be. I think resourcefulness is so important these days, and being aggressive. I think that's a great. Without being overly aggressive, just being direct and contacting, which shows that company, this person's reaching out to us. They're going to be good for us in the long run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Um, have you seen much difference in how startups and established companies hire engineers?
Hmm. Um, well, first of all, I have a daughter. My daughter's a recruiter for Google, and I kid with her every once in a while. I said, "You have an easy job. Google gets two or 3 million resumes a year, so it's a
Wow.
little, yeah, they do, and they only hire about 20,000 maybe a year. So that's, if you do the math, that's about 1% of the resumes they get. Um, with startups, um, I would say there's different. Some people just want to work for a startup. They don't want to work for a Meta, a Google, one of the big seven out there. So companies, I would say, it just depends on on the candidate themselves. Looking for candidates, I would say Google has a little bit better chance of hiring people because of the name, but that doesn't always give them an advantage. If somebody's really good technically, they can work for a startup or a well-established company. So it just depends on the candidate. And some people are better suited for a startup company as opposed to a larger company.
Yeah.
Somebody with many years of experience may not want to work for a startup. They may want to just go to work at Google. So
You mentioned coaching your customers, the companies who are trying to hire someone. And do you also coach the engineers that you work with, and what kind of coaching do
but
you do with them?
yeah, that's a really good point. And most of the time, I'm coaching them with their soft skills. Their technical skills they are what they are. I can't really help them with that. I'm not a technical person, but I can help them with. I'll give you an example of someone I was talking to about a month ago. I was interviewing that person, and he was talking incessantly. He talked. What I told him, he was talking without periods. I said, you have to stop and pause a bit. So those soft skills, I said, if you're doing all the talking, you can't learn about the company when you're interviewing there. So slow down. And he's like, wow, nobody ever told me that before. I appreciate that. So
That's
sometimes
awesome.
sometimes I have to have a tough conversation with someone, but after I go through the process with them, they understand. I had another person 2 weeks ago told me he doesn't do any social media. I said, I didn't see your resume on LinkedIn. He says, I don't have a LinkedIn profile. I'm like, the client even asked, why doesn't he have a LinkedIn profile? And they wouldn't even talk to him. So I told him, I said, it's not a social media thing. That's like a resume these days. So yeah, I have to have an
Yeah,
occasional
yeah,
tough conversation, but I think most people appreciate that. Um,
absolutely. That's great. Shoot, I had a thought while you were talking about that. Let's see, you were talking about
Hopefully
coaching
I
these
wasn't talking without
engineers.
periods.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes. Okay. I have to share just a short story here to emphasize the point that you just made, which is that
Hmm.
engineers, not just engineers, anyone really needs to stop talking and listen, ask some questions, right? I
Hmm.
interviewed a guy, this was years ago, probably a decade ago, and we it was just a phone interview. So we got on the call, and this guy started talking, and he didn't stop. He just kept going, kept talking, kept talking. And after a few minutes, I thought to myself, man, I would really like to like kind of stop this guy and ask him questions. He's telling me all this stuff, most of which I don't care about. Let me
Yep.
ask the questions I do care about, but he's not giving me an opportunity to break in. And I almost interrupted him. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna see how long he goes. It became like a kind of a game for me. I thought, how long is this guy gonna go before he stops talking? And Larry, it was a full 20 minutes before this
Yeah,
guy stopped. Just a continuous stream of consciousness for 20 solid minutes. And I
yeah.
just sat there in awe, like, wow, clearly this is not someone that I want to work with. That was an interesting experiment. 20 minutes. All right, guy. Thanks for your time. I gotta go now. It was just an immediate no for me.
Yeah, it's painful. And sometimes I don't think that person realizes because I think they get nervous and they want to get as
Yeah,
much information out as possible. But I coach them. I said, you know what? If you're talking to me like this, you're not going to get this job that I'm sending you on. So let's circle back. Let's slow down a little bit and let's talk about the important things and then ask a question to the client. So it's a I always tell people it's a two-way conversation, not a one-way. So you have to get information, you can't be doing all the talking. So
absolutely.
it's a good lesson. And it's a turnoff if you just keep on talking. So
Oh yeah, big time. It's like you're talking to a salesperson. They just don't shut up.
you're right. Yeah.
And I love when candidates ask me a question. It shows they're interested in the company.
Hmm.
Depending on the question, it shows that they've actually done their research already. So
Hmm.
come prepared with questions. I think that's a great strategy.
And I always start with a personal question about somebody or about their, what they like to do in their free time or, have you been away? Have you gone on any trips lately? And that kind
Yeah.
of gets things rolling a little bit. Same thing with clients. I do the same thing with my, the people that are hiring people for me. So I always get to know them a little bit better that way.
Let's talk about that a little bit. You
Mhm.
seem to have a personal touch that, I mean, I can imagine how your business might feel pretty transactional these days, where everything's digital, right? Sending resumes back and
Yeah.
forth, all the applications are online. How do you bring a personal touch into that interaction, and how have you seen it improve the outcome?
Yeah, that's a really good point there. And I try to deal directly with managers. I try to get around, I don't like to deal with HR or procurement people. I try to deal directly with the decision makers. And when they tell me just to send resumes, I said, really, that's not going to work. I want to understand exactly what you're looking for. I'll send you the best three candidates I have. I'll kind of set it up where I'm in control a little bit, but letting them just make the decision. So I'll send you my ideal client is I get to send them three resumes. They interview three people. They get down to two candidates and then decide on the one. Doesn't always work that way, but I try to guide them and try to save them time. I said, you don't want 20 or 30 resumes from me. If you want 20 or 30 resumes, I'm, I'm not the person for you. So I try to guide them along and then tell them a little background on tell them a little story about my background. I've been doing this for a long time. Uh, I'm pretty comfortable that I could find you the right person. I'm not perfect, but I should be able to find you the right person after understanding what you're looking for. So, yeah,
I love that you have the confidence to tell people when appropriate, hey, that's not going to work for me, right? You're not just going to accept anyone. You're kind of choosing your customers as well, because
yeah,
if their process is not set up in an efficient way, I mean, it could be you who looks bad at the end of that. So you need to make sure things are set up for success from the beginning.
and again, I go through a qualifying list of questions with them, like how long has the job been open for? If they tell me it's been open for 6 months, then I'm like, well, what makes you think that I can find somebody miraculously after 6 months? Um, so those are some of the questions I ask.
Larry, I'm getting a sense, and I mean this in a very complimentary way, so please don't take it otherwise, but I'm getting the sense that you're as much of a salesperson as you are a recruiting professional. I
And I
mean,
still have to sell. I do both sides. Right now with Spanner, I'm doing the recruiting and the business development side. So I have to go out. The sales part is finding clients. The recruiting part is finding candidates. But I also have to sell candidates to take the job with the client
yeah,
and vice versa. So sometimes a client is not sure, and sometimes a candidate is not. Sometimes a candidate gets an offer, and they're not sure if they want that particular offer. And I don't really want to be that person that tries to sell them on taking the job just so I can earn a fee. I want them to give me a good reason why they might not want the job. And if they don't want the job, then that's okay too. I don't want them to take a job and then leave 2 months into the role because that doesn't help me either.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so in some ways I have to sell the candidates and the in the candidates.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic and a skill set that not that many people have. So working with someone who does have that skill set is immensely valuable. Uh, let's see, I know what it was. How have you seen in-person versus remote work change, especially, post-COVID? Has it
Mhm.
kind of gone back to um, pretty much all in office at this point, or has there been a more permanent shift for like hybrid work or remote work for
Yeah.
engineers?
Well, I think candidates are driving this because they get so used to doing remote work. So a lot of candidates are dictating to the companies.
Mhm.
They're pushing the companies, but the companies are also pushing the candidates to come back to work. So there's been a trend over the last 6 to 9 months to get, especially if you're building a product, because it's hard to do a remote job if you're not on site building a robot or a piece of hardware. You have to be there. So at least 3 or 4 days a week. So it's not totally on site, but especially in the Bay Area, it's so bad commuting wise that people people just can't get to the office within an hour and a half. So it depends on the location. I happen to be in a business where my business, I can do everything remote, although I do miss going on site and walking the floors of my clients. That helped me a lot. But I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, and most of my business is up in Boston and North Carolina, in the Bay Area. So, but back to the engineers, I would say that I think you have to be. Clients are asking their candidates to come in on site
Yeah.
every day,
Mm.
especially mechanical engineer or electrical engineer. There's a lot of communication during the day that you just can't get remote.
Yeah, the hands-on aspect, right? If you need to go in and build something, I mean, can't
Yeah,
do that remotely.
yeah, with a 3D printer, you go into a machine shop. So yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely have to be there.
Have you seen the mindsets of engineers, applicants change much over the years? I mean, like this is I don't know. I hear this a lot, and I'm never sure the degree to which it's actually true, right? People kind of bag on the younger generation. Oh, they just want everything handed to them, and they don't have good work ethic. They're not willing to put in the time. They just want everything to be handed to them on a silver platter. Have you found that to be true, or are people looking for jobs now? Are they every bit as good work ethic and hardworking as they were 20, 30, 40 years ago?
Yeah, I think a lot of the work life balance came out of a Google and Meta where they're giving out free food, they're feeding people. There's ping pong tables, there's foosball, there's all kinds of fun stuff. I think that trend is over. I
Mhm.
think people would rather come in and do the work, and the young people want to work. I don't see that. I don't see that lack of work. I don't see people that they want to work hard and they want to build products. The people that I'm talking to every day, they're serious about work. They're diligent. They're contacting me on a weekly basis. Hey, I want to work. I don't mind going in, and I'll move wherever I have to move. So I kind of it was a trend for a while, bringing pets into work. I mean, that's that's not as popular as it used to be. So
Interesting.
yeah, I think companies are just providing, like I said before, they're providing a good challenge and a good problem to building a product. They
Yeah.
want to create a good work culture and solve problems for consumers. That's what it's all about.
If you were going to put a billboard up and millions of engineering applicants were going to see this billboard and you could only fit, a few words or a short sentence on it, what would that be?
That's not one of the questions you sent me, Aaron. I was supposed to be prepared for this.
This
That's
is
a
a
good one.
this is a curveball. That's right.
Um, hmm, that's a good one. How would a billboard? How to attract clients or how to attract candidates?
Of what the engineers should, the mindset that they should have, like going into an interview, what should be their mindset looking for a job? What's like the best thing that they can do to prepare themselves? It's an unfair question because there's never a best thing, right? It's always like a bunch of things that you need to do to prepare. But is there any one thing that comes to mind that stands out to you as you have to be doing this one thing if you're looking for a job and you want to be successful right now?
Well, I would say right now is learn as much about AI as possible because that's become the buzzword out there. How do you utilize AI effectively to make your job easier? I've found ways. I'm not a technical person, but I've already found many ways using AI to help my job become more effective. So how do you use it with the tools? If you're using CAD design, if you're using SolidWorks or Pro Engineer on the mechanical side or Creo, how do you utilize those tools using AI to make you more effective? So, and in my job, how do I make myself more effective as a business development person and a recruiter with less people around me? How do I use AI to amplify my message?
Yeah.
So I would say that's one of the things you could utilize. And AI is, like I said, still in the infancy of its. We're still in the first or second inning of a 9-inning game with AI.
Well, there have been some real gems that you shared already, Larry, both for hiring managers and engineers who are applying for work, looking for their next opportunity. I think everyone listening to this is going to take away something of value from it. From your end, what is something that would be helpful or valuable to you that our audience listening to this right now could do? Now, I think the easy answer is if you're looking for a job, contact me and we'll work together.
Mhm.
But outside of that, is there anything else that you're looking for that could be helpful, useful for you?
Yeah, and I do have an answer for this one. Thank you for that question. I would say sharpen your soft skills, your how you present yourself, dress professionally for an interview. Dress, you have to wear. You don't have to wear a tie. Most companies aren't asking for you to wear a tie, but make sure you make a great first impression when you're going out on an interview. I would say the technical skills are already there. If you've gone through if you've got a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, you've already proven to that company you've got the technical skills. What can you do on the soft skill side? What can you do to make yourself amplify yourself, or how do you? It's really you're in a competition with other candidates. So how do you differentiate yourself? And I think the soft skills do that. How do you become more resourceful? Ask great questions, eye to eye. Looking that person in the eye. Make sure you maintain good eye contact and a good posture, because body language tells a lot about somebody. You don't want to be slumped over or looking around. Don't have any distractions. Like if now most first interviews now are video, just like we're doing. So don't have any distractions around you. Make sure that the things in the background are really something that doesn't turn somebody off. Don't have a cat coming across or a dog barking in the background or kids. So
That's a
make
great pro tip.
make sure you present yourself like you're in a regular office and not with things around.
Yeah, make your background look nice, given that so many of these first interviews are web-based now.
Yeah. And
Great pro
most of
tip.
them are. And then when you go into an interview, take a notebook with you, show up early. I've got a whole list of interview tips for people, tips and tricks that I can share with you at some point too.
Terrific. Well, on that note, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my email address is Larry_Caponi. So it's Larry_COPPONI at spannerpd.com. And I'll share my phone number. I don't mind that. I still have I have a San Jose number, even though I'm in North Carolina. It's 408-300-8799.
Terrific. All
And
right.
then obviously my LinkedIn profile, people can connect with me there.
Yep. And we'll have a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well.
Great.
All right. Well, Larry, this has been great. Thank you so much. Is any parting words, anything else that you'd like to go over before we wrap this up?
Well, I think there's still many companies out there that are looking for great resources. Every company I work with is looking for another team player that can help them. So even if a company isn't hiring, don't be afraid to contact someone at that company and be aggressive in your job search, because it's a very competitive landscape out there right now.
Yeah. Get to know the people, establish those relationships.
Yeah.
Terrific. Okay. Larry, thank you so much.
All right, Aaron. Thank you.
I'm Aaron Moncur, founder of Pipeline Design and Engineering. If you liked what you heard today, please share the episode. To learn how your team can leverage our team's expertise developing advanced manufacturing processes, automated machines, and custom fixtures, complemented with product design and R&D services, visit us at teampipeline.us. To join a vibrant community of engineers online, visit thewave.engineer. Thank you for listening.